How many different ways do you know how to cook an egg? Look, it's important to know how to cook, and eggs are the easiest and most fundamental food when you're starting out. Now, if all you want is scrambled eggs, that's totally fine, but in case you want something a little different, I got you. Today, I'm going over 10 different ways that you can cook an egg. Now, there's a lot of variations with some of these, like there's different ways to cook an omelet, for example, but I'm going to try to keep it simple. Let's start with the classic and easiest of them all, the scrambled egg. First, you're gonna need some eggs. I like my eggs to be a little bit closer to room temperature, but it's up to you, and I'll show you why I prefer this in a minute. There are a few ways to go about this. You can throw your egg in a pan like a savage and scramble it up in the pan, or you can put your egg in a bowl and scramble it in there first. Once you get your pan nice and hot, about a medium heat, throw your egg in there with a little bit of oil. Now, if your pan's pretty hot, the egg is gonna cook pretty fast. So keep stirring it until it's completely cooked, and that's it. Super easy. It's ready to serve. Second variation of a scrambled egg, which is, you might have seen it online, the Gordon Ramsay style of scrambled eggs. This method is not necessarily complicated, but there's a lot more steps involved in it. With Chef Ramsay's way of scrambling eggs, you don't want the pan to be as hot because the eggs will cook too fast, but get your egg scrambled, throw it in the pan, and just keep stirring that egg. Don't stop moving it. Take it off the heat to prevent it from cooking too fast, and then put it back on the heat. And repeat that about 3 to 4 times, stirring the egg constantly. Put a knob of butter in there while it's off the heat so it can cool down the eggs a little bit. Now, Ramsey says to put a little bit of creme fraiche into the eggs, which I don't have, and I'm not gonna go buy creme fraiche just for this recipe, so I just put a little bit of sour cream. This does cool the eggs down and prevents them from overcooking, and it makes them super, super creamy. Once you get the consistency you want, it's ready to plate. So you have your regular scrambled eggs on the right, Chef Ramsay style on the left, and they do look a little bit different, and they do taste fairly different because of the sour cream or creme fraiche if you decide to go that route, and obviously the butter that we add to the eggs. The second way of cooking an egg is to boil them. Now you have your easy, medium, and hard boiled eggs. The hardest part about boiling eggs is the waiting. Bring your water up to a boil. Now, if your eggs are cold and you drop them in there, they will probably crack and you'll have floaties all over the water. I don't like that, so I like to keep my eggs at room temperature when I boil my eggs. Plus, I do poke them with this little needle thing I got a few years ago called an egg piercer. It makes the eggs easier to peel later. Now, you don't want your water to boil too hard. You want just enough bubbles on the bottom and kind of a slow boil. Otherwise, they're gonna cook too fast. Now, I have a little timer on this egg piercer that tells me when my eggs are ready, but you can use a timer as well. For soft-boiled eggs, you'll want to boil them for about 4 to 6 minutes, medium-boiled egg around 7 minutes, and a hard-boiled egg for at least 11 minutes. I like to think of it as a 5, 7, 11. Soft, medium, and hard-boiled. Soft, medium, and hard-boiled egg times. 5, 7, 11. 5, 7, 11. Once the timer goes off, throw your eggs in a bowl of ice water to stop them from overcooking, and once they've cooled down, they're ready to peel and eat. Here you see the difference between the 3 types of eggs. Your soft-boiled eggs have a super runny yolk. The medium-boiled egg has a jammy yolk, not super runny, but it is still kind of jelly-like. And then obviously your hard-boiled egg at 11 minutes has no runny yolk whatsoever. Now, the third way of cooking an egg is the over easy method. There are 3 variations for this type of egg, which is your over easy, over medium, and over hard. Over easy eggs have a runny yolk still while the white is completely cooked. Once you have the white more or less cooked, so it's not transparent, you'll flip your egg. This is the hardest part because you can break the yolk if you flip it too aggressively. But once you flip it, keep it there for about 20 to 30 seconds, and that's it. Ready to plate. And you'll see how the yolk is still runny when you cut into it. Now, the over hard egg is pretty much the same thing, except you're purposely going to break the yolk on this one. Once the white is mostly cooked, you'll want to flip it. This one does take a little longer to cook since you don't want the yolk to be runny, but you'll cook it until the yolk is solid. Now, I didn't cook an over medium egg on this video, but somewhere in the middle, you don't have to cook it as long as the over hard egg, but you do want to cook it a little longer than the over easy egg. And this one is going to completely depend on how you like your yolk. Number 4, the sunny side up. The sunny side up egg is probably the most iconic looking egg. You don't need a lot of heat for this one, so turn it down to a low medium I'm going to show you a not so glamorous way of cooking these, which is essentially just breaking the whites until they're fully cooked. Doing it this way leaves the whites looking kind of sad, but it gets the job done. If you want your eggs to look perfect, you can cover the eggs with a lid until the whites are cooked. Another method that isn't so sunny is to baste the egg. You'll want a little bit more oil for this version of the egg, so you just coat the yolk with the hot oil until it becomes a little cloudy. I didn't have enough oil in this pan and it made it a little harder, but this is the end results comparing the sunny side up with the basted egg. Number 5 is a poached egg. Bring your water up to a soft boil. Just make sure it's hot enough for the water to form bubbles at the bottom. Put a little bit of vinegar in the water so it helps the eggs keep their structure. Once your water is ready, put an egg in a mug to make it easier on yourself. Stir the water and slowly drop the egg in and let it whirlpool for a little bit until it's fully cooked. Fish it out with a spoon or a ladle and serve it over toast. It should still be a little jammy. Number 6, the omelets. There are many different types of omelets, but I'm going to go over 3 of them today. The first one is an American style omelet. You want to start by cracking your eggs in a bowl, scrambling them first, and throw in any toppings or fillings that you want. It can be cheese, ham, peppers, mushrooms, whatever you want. I'm just making plain omelets for the presentation today, and I did forget to record the first part of this, so I apologize for that. But once you have your eggs scrambled in your bowl, add them to the pan. The technique for this particular omelet is pretty simple. You want to tilt your pan so the uncooked egg rolls onto the hot pan and push the outer cooked part of the omelet inward. Once it's cooked to your liking, fold the omelet in half and serve. This one's pretty simple. The next type of omelet is a French style omelet. Now, I'm not a professional cook by any means. I'm not a professional chef or anything, so don't judge my technique too harshly. You want to turn down the heat for these omelets as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier. Otherwise, they're going to cook way too fast. Pour your egg scramble into the pan and begin stirring it like the Ramsey scrambled egg. Just super fast, nonstop. Once the egg starts forming egg curds and it's starting to kind of cook to your liking, you start rolling and folding the egg in itself. And that's ready to serve. Pretty easy. That's the French style omelet. Now for the last version of the omelet that I'm going to show you, we're doing a Japanese style omelet. This one probably takes the most skill, but it's still pretty simple. Traditionally, these omelets are made on a square pan. I don't have a square pan, so a circular pan it is. Pour a little bit of your egg mixture in the pan and spread it evenly until it's cooked. It should be a nice thin layer. And you're going to roll it just like the French style omelet and push it to the corner. You're going to pour a little bit more egg and do the same thing, layer it out, thin it out until it's cooked, and then roll it into itself again. And you do this until all your egg mixture is gone. And the result is very similar to a French omelet, but it will have a lot more layers to it. And that's it. 3 different types of omelets. So you can pick and choose whatever you want to do. They're all fairly simple. And if you mess it up, then you'll just have scrambled eggs. I actually messed one up earlier and I didn't record it because it looked like scrambled eggs and I already did one of those. So moving on. Number 7 is a fried egg. This one's hard to mess up, guys. You'll need a little bit more oil than usual, but just pop your egg in there and leave it alone. You can choose to flip it or leave it. If you flip it, it tends to come out a little crispier, but have your heat on medium, low. Obviously, if you have it too hot, it's going to splatter everywhere because there's a lot of oil. If you leave it longer, it's going to have a less runny yolk. If you just fry it really fast, it's going to be crispy with a runny yolk in the middle. Super simple. Number 8 is the egg muffins. If you don't have a muffin tin, I'm sorry, but this is an egg muffin recipe. I'm sure you can use something else, but that's the shape that it takes. This is the only egg recipe I have today that uses the oven. So if you want to follow this, set your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Scramble your eggs in a bowl again. Put whatever you want in them. Tomatoes, ham, cheese, spinach, whatever you want. Just like the omelet. Get your muffin tray, spray it with a non-stick spray or butter, and put your egg mixture in there. Pop it in the oven for 30 minutes and you're all set. Breakfast on the go. Number 9 is the chorizo and eggs. Obviously, it's not a very traditional American breakfast style of eggs, but this is something that I grew up with and it's super easy to do. Get some chorizo. And I use about 1/3 of a tube for when I eat, about 2 eggs or so, but keep the heat medium low again. If it's too hot, the fat in the chorizo will start to splatter everywhere again. You don't need to put any oil in this one because the chorizo has enough fat in it already. But once you cook your chorizo for about 5 minutes, throw in your scrambled eggs and mix it up until everything's cooked. That's that easy. It's just like scrambled eggs. You're just adding a little bit of extra flavor and a little bit of color to that. So I eat this with a tortilla, I put some cheese on it, eat it with some bread, and it's delicious. But moving on. Number 10 is the huevos rancheros. All right, this last one does take a little bit more effort, but I'll show you the simplest way that you can do it. Just like the chorizo and eggs, this is obviously not a traditionally American breakfast. So this might be a little bit out of some of your comfort zones, but here we go. The first step is to make a quick salsa. Put some garlic, onions, and tomatoes in a pan. Optionally, you can put some peppers in there for a little bit of heat, but cook that down and set it aside. You'll want to fry up some tortillas, get some oil in the pan, and do take these tortillas out before they turn golden brown, because they actually keep cooking after you take them out of the oil. So they'll get darker as they cool on the plate too. So if you take them out when they're too golden brown, they're going to turn really dark once they cool down. Once your tortillas are out, put some beans on them, and you're ready to cook your eggs. Now, you can cook your eggs however you want. I just showed you 9 ways to do it, and I wouldn't recommend doing an omelet on this, but you can do whatever you want. You can fry them, you can baste them, you can do them sunny side up, however you want. Once your egg is cooked, put it on the beans, and then put your salsa on top, and you're done. Those are huevos rancheros. And that's 10 different ways of how to cook an egg. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm not a professional chef or anything. These are just the different ways that I've learned how to cook eggs over the years, just trying to pass it on down to you. And yes, guys, add salt, add your seasonings to these eggs. I'm just showing you the bare minimum of how to cook these eggs, and I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys go and try it out. But let me know what else you guys want to learn on this channel. Let me know what other topics you want me to cover that you didn't learn in school. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.